Well, the weeds are still there.
Oh, yeah, the weeds don't do well.
Why do the weeds stay green?
We have sprinklers in the landscaper.
Oh, you do?
This is, believe it or not, it's a nice.
feel like I need the director's
working
thing.
on right now,
Ballot question.
and it's
All right, you're good to go.
all right.
So when I was working.
All right. The meeting of the West Warwick Board of Canvassers for the 9th day of August 2022 is hereby called to order at 3:03 PM. Members present are Chairperson Ray Lambert, Vice Chairwoman Nancy LeBlanc, Member JP Millette, alternate member Nancy Parenti, and alternate member Paul Richards. We have a quorum so we can transact our business. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the July 13th, 2022 Board of Canvass meeting. Everybody got a copy?
Yeah.
Any additions, subtractions, modifications, amendments, anything?
No, I don't have anything.
JP?
All set.
All right, I'll entertain a motion that the minutes of the July 13th, 2022 Board of Canvass meeting be accepted as presented.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Next order of business is the certification of ballot questions for the November 8, 2022 statewide election. Everybody got a copy of them? Oh, that's right. Sorry. I jumped to that one when we have another meeting minutes for July 20th. So I'll revert back to number 3 for the approval of the July 2022 Board of Canvass meetings. Everybody got a copy?
Yes.
Yes.
Any additions, subtractions, modifications, amendments, anything? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that the minutes of the July 20th, 2022 Board of Canvassers meetings be accepted as presented.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Sorry about that. All right, that takes care of that. Now we have number 4, certification of ballot questions for the November 8, 2022 statewide election. Now everybody's got a copy of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Stop.
Director spelled wrong in it. That doesn't
Is
make-
there a,
Question 4,
yeah?
is it director?
Oh, geez. I will fix that.
Other than that,
Thank
All right, we have one correction. The spelling of the word.
you. We want to make
director.
sure we have all the spelling correctly.
Oh, yeah. All right, Madam Vice Chair, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions on these?
Did they get a parliamentarian to do this?
No, it was with the work of the solicitor,
It was where?
with the solicitor
Oh,
that
okay.
assisted them. Yep.
Okay,
what exactly?
Wait a minute. One, go ahead. You're next.
what about an independent? Because I know we have people that run as independents and have gotten elected as independents. What will happen if an independent resigns?
So an independent, it could be a person of either party, of any party. I think that's what the
Yeah, but who
language,
would appoint that person?
the town council would. So what that language is saying is that, and it's similar to what it is now. If we had a Democrat leave the town council now, they would have to be replaced with another Democrat.
Right, yes.
Same with the school committee. If it was a person who is unaffiliated or an independent, then they could be replaced with either party.
Okay, so there would be no appointment from the party. It would be the town council that would.
It is the town
appoint-
council would have the authority.
Would have to just appoint, would have to pick.
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Shouldn't some of that be in the language?
So these are summaries of the questions. The complete language will be posted and advertised at all of the polling locations. So if anyone has any
Oh,
questions,
okay.
but these are just summaries of the questions. But the language in its entirety is,
And when will that happen?
I'd have to read the statute. I think it's like 10 days prior to the election, which would be in November, that those get posted and advertised.
They feel that
What,
that would
these?
be adequate time for a voter to read that and then question?
I'm not sure, and unfortunately, I can't speak on that right now,
Right,
but
okay.
I do recall looking in the statute to see what the state law requires, and I believe I remember reading 10 days. But I wouldn't have a perfect 100% answer for you on that one right now.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, we got a little bit of time for that.
Okay, yeah, so they'll probably discuss it, maybe in September or October.
No, the language is already done. It's ready to go. All of the changes, proposed changes have been made, like striking this, adding that.
Oh, okay.
These are just summaries of those
Okay, so
changes.
it's possible to have it posted earlier.
Yes, oh, yes, yep, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think that there's any, harm to doing that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Before you, JP, I got a question to her point. I'm reading this. It's a little confusing about the member vacating the office if he was unaffiliated, then any qualified elector.
Right.
So let's just say, let's use our council. I believe Jason Licciardi is unaffiliated.
Correct,
He resigns within this period,
correct.
right? Now they say, oh, we can, any qualified elector. Hello, I'm a qualified elector. I'm not in his ward, but I mean, I'm a qualified elector. Now I'm a Democrat on that town council.
But that's-
And-
It should be an
That's
unaffiliated.
what they can do.
They can do that. That's the way it is now.
But
That isn't changing.
How come if you look at the definitions in Title 17, the definition for independent candidate is not affiliated with any party,
Correct.
okay?
Although they are, some of them are, even though they run as an independent
Well,
candidate.
what
Yes,
they are,
they're
what
independent
what they
Democrats,
are
that's
in
your
the
point.
closet is another thing. But what they're listed as, if they're not a registered Democrat or a registered Republican,
Right.
if I voted for someone that I thought was an independent and that I agreed with the philosophy, but I do not agree with, let's say, the Republican philosophy, and the Republicans put in someone, wouldn't that be a conflict? Wouldn't that take away my vote?
So I think that's the nature of the way that it's set up currently, and this would mimic that, is that currently, like, for instance, when Steve Lawton resigned on the school committee, he was a Democrat, if I remember correctly.
He was.
Therefore, his replacement had to be a Democrat.
Correct.
Right, well,
And
that's written in the charter that way.
Right, and it is, and this is, that would not be, that part of that is not changing. That's this, it is that way now, and it would be that way going forward. It is, if the person is a Democrat, it has to be a Democrat. If the person is a Republican, it has to be a Republican.
But I think
If
they
a
should-
person's independent, it could be either one. It doesn't, there's no
Shouldn't
way.
it say though, technically speaking, shouldn't it say that he can be replaced by a qualified unaffiliated elector?
Well, no, because
You hear what I'm saying? In other words, you could end up.
unfortunately, this is what the council has put forward, and we are not here to decide the content.
No, I
No,
understand,
yeah,
but we
yeah,
can
no, I
discuss
know.
it.
But I mean, we're voting on the wording here, correct?
No,
Nope,
No?
they've done the wording. You guys are
What
certifying
are
that
we
these.
voting on? this?
You guys are you're basically just approving them to go on the ballot.
Oh, okay, well,
That's
yes,
it.
but in the Constitution, it says also the sufficiency of the thing. In other words, we don't have to, let's say they put something stupid in here, like, if a Democrat resigns, we're going to replace him with a Republican. We don't have to certify that. Well, whatever they put in for language. In other words, it says in the Constitution, I got it right here at the Constitution,
Yeah.
the legal sufficiency of the question and also certify, the question. Did you want to say something before I got, because I
No,
got
not really.
a point.
But no, I was just gonna make this, say that thing, is all we're doing is prove it needs to be put on.
Yes,
We're not gonna make
the
any
voters,
changes on it.
no, the voters, if you, like, for
no,
example,
we're
if you
not,
wanted to
Yeah,
campaign
that's-
against them, you could do that, but I
we're not
mean,
responsible for the language, the town council is.
yes,
And so if
For the
anyone
record-
complains, you can say, it's not me, it wasn't me.
For the record, Could you state that, please, for the record, which you just said,
What's that?
that it's the town council language and we're not responsible for the,
These are the town council's amendments and language that's, they have approved. So you guys are just certifying that they are going on the ballot in November.
I just think the independent voter, and there are a lot of them, there are a lot of unaffiliated people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that their vote has to be protected also.
Yeah.
you have anything? JP?
No.
All right, I have a question. It's too bad they're not here. You know my intimate version is a good word for it to this. They go, oh, we can't close this polling place. The voter. By reducing this from 1 year, by expanding it from 1 year to 2 years, my theory is you are not you.
No.
They're disenfranchising a voter. I voted for JP on that school committee for a 4-year term. He got off 1 day after the 2 years, so it can kick in. So you serve 2 years in 1 day. Oh, it's in the 2 years. Put it for an election. I mean, not for an election, an appointment. Now, I voted for you. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I got just for 2 years on the school committee. I got 3 kids in school. I don't. I'm going to have to be subjected to 3 council people. 3. That's all it takes. Putting somebody on that school committee that I may not want for my kids, and I got to eat it for 2 years instead of 1 year. They are disenfranchising to some degree. Not stopping you from voting. Well, I guess it is. You know what I'm trying to say, JP? In other words, you don't get a choice for 2 years. You're going to take what 3 councilmen put on there, 2 years. Now, I know you can 1 year, 6 months, who cares? That's 2 budgets, by the way. 2 years.
I think this was a recommendation of the Charter Review Committee to the
Yeah.
council to increase it from 1 year to 2 years. And I think that the council's rationale for that was to avoid the frequent special elections and the cost associated with that.
And what did we try to tell them with the 5 polling places vis-a-vis the 10? And they said, price isn't, a question. We don't want to disenfranchise the voter.
That's
You think about it.
That's everything going on now. I mean, I agree, but it's.
That
that's
don't
all
make
they're
it
saying.
right.
All over the country, the voters are being disenfranchised and people are up in arms. My only statement on this would be, should it say from the same ward?
I think that's what,
Yes.
I think that's what, and I don't know, I don't have the full language in front of me, but I do think it does reference that in the actual charter. But when the term qualified elector, that means they have to be qualified to be elected in that ward.
Now,
Go ahead.
give me some information. Do we have to approve? I know we're not going to do it today. Do we have to approve this, these amendments to go on the ballot?
You're certifying, yes. That has to be to the
Okay,
Secretary
so
of State for
why
tomorrow.
weren't we presented with the whole language?
You can have the whole language if you want. I'm happy to print it out for you. But again, you guys aren't voting on the content of that language.
Well, what, we're just voting to put something on
You're
the
just saying,
ballot.
I give the council permission to put this on the ballot. is
So
what
we
you're
could
saying.
probably have that on the next meeting or something, the agenda on, the meeting after that? No?
What do you want?
Look
then?
at seeing the whole language.
Oh,
I can email it to you. I really don't think that it's the purview of you guys as a board to discuss the charter changes. It's not part of your mission. But as a citizen, you're more than welcome to.
But if we have to approve it,
I think you're just approving, putting it on the ballot.
Unfortunately, this is more of a
I'm not
it's more
trying
of
to
a
say I
ceremonial
disapprove it.
thing. It's more of a ceremonial thing than it is an actual approval of the actual questions.
but, okay, I just think that if we're approving the language, I think all we
You're not-
approve is that you post it in certain places.
Yes, you guys are responsible for making sure that it's posted and it's on the ballot
Right.
like it's supposed to be, that is.
But
what
we're
it is.
really not approving the language.
Right, correct. No, the council does that.
No, technically speaking, you can approve certifying this and putting it on the ballot, and you can turn around, go up there and vote against it.
Right, correct.
Oh, no,
Even
yeah,
as a
no,
board
no,
member.
Yes, I know,
Oh, yeah.
but,
No, absolutely. If you
Okay.
don't agree with the change, then you can vote against it. Yeah.
okay.
So that's where you have your say and you could campaign.
On the
against-
ballot, is it just gonna be limited to this or the full?
So on the actual ballot, it will be limited to this. However, the entire changes will be posted at all the polling locations.
And I
And
thought you
advertised
had to
in
have
advance.
hearings on that. You had to have
They did.
hearings
We
to
did. We had a
discuss the
town council.
language.
We had a town council meeting about it, yes, on July 25th.
They had a meeting, and then the charter, they did their job and presented it to the council, so they had a meeting then.
Oh, but you're not supposed to have some kind of other meeting to have people's input? Well, I guess it's up to someone who doesn't agree with that to get out there and let people know, what, if they feel it's not in the best interest to get it out there.
Yeah, yeah, you notice that when you see elections like opposed question 2, you'll see signs in people's yards during election season to oppose or support
I mean,
certain
I
questions.
wouldn't want people to think we're just, railroading this onto the ballot.
Yeah,
No, we're just certifying that these are the questions.
yes,
It is a kind of a weird procedure because,
Hmm.
it's almost like a rubber stamping.
yeah, we don't have any say, so why even bring
Why
it to us?
even bother, right? That was kind of my feeling on it too. But I guess this is the way that,
But somewhere in here, I just tried to find it fast. It does say that we certify the question as, this is the question, but
right,
it mentioned something about the legal sufficiency. Like if
Yeah.
we notice that they're trying to,
right.
say, hey, wait a minute, we're not certifying this. You see what I'm
I
saying?
think that's in the Rhode Island
Yes,
Constitution.
it might be in there. I was trying to find it fast, but I couldn't find it. Paul, you have anything you want to?
Well, if everything's gonna be posted there, I guess it'll be all right, because, my only thing is, there's no mention here of what it currently is. So all you do is looking at
Yes.
the change.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well, what's it saying now? So I might like what it's saying now.
Yep.
So basically the change, and I'm more than happy to send you guys the text for the changes. I'll email it
No,
to
but
all
I
of you
mean
this
for
evening.
the person voting on this.
Oh, yes.
It's
no,
got to
they-
be posted.
Yeah, it will. It'll
That's
be
why it'll
posted.
be
Oh, posted.
Yeah,
It's
it'll be posted,
the
yeah.
current and the old, well,
Yeah, so it will be
the
in a
current and the
form,
proposed would be there,
yeah, so it's gonna be in a form.
except for
It's
one,
gonna have
because
the
we don't
current
have.
paragraph with, like strike throughs and
Strikeouts,
underlines for addition, so they would
Okay.
see what the old language was and what the new language
Except for
would be.
question 1, because that's not,
Question 1 is
It's
not
new.
charter related. Yes, that is something the council had voted on. All of the 39 municipalities are voting on whether or not to put that question on their ballot. If they do not put the question on their ballot, then they defer under state regulation.
Right.
Where if we do put it, the voters decide whether we.
I think.
That's a
the way it
good
should be.
question. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's the way
they
it should
just
be.
chose 4 other questions. I think that,
What's the
Just
point
some-
of 5?
I think they didn't want to put too many questions on the ballot.
No, I don't mean 5. Question 5,
Oh.
the thing about the ordinances, instead of doing it I don't get.
Every 5 years, instead of every 5 years, whatever. it
No,
is.
I know what it reads, but
Yeah.
why? Well, what's
So,
the
for
backstory?
instance, me and Al just completed this together. We went through Muni code, going through our entire code and making sure that everything was up to date and all set.
I understand.
So now that we have Muni code, we are on a contract with them that annually we send them all of our changes every year on the ordinances, and they update our code annually. So it's really not necessary to mandate someone to go through it from front to back every 5 years. There might be, a check-in 10 years down the road or whatever. It's quite a cost to have an attorney go through.
Very good explanation. See, I just didn't know, why?
I think
What's the
back in the day,
backstory to it?
back in the day before, everything was online and digital, that
Yep.
definitely would have been important to go through every 5 years and make sure that the code was good from start to finish. But now where it's, updated regularly, it's kind of an unnecessary mandate.
And number 4,
Mhm.
again, no big deal, but they're going to appoint, when they're appointing a public works director, a person with a bachelor's degree and 3 years of experience, that sounds really good. Or a person with relevant, which whenever you use a vague word like that, job experience deemed appropriate by the town council. That sounds, look at Paul, he's laughing.
I mean, leaves the door wide open.
So I think that right now our charter
Give us the backstory.
requires the director to be someone with a degree in engineering. It's very specific that they have to have a degree. And again, I should have had the language with me so I could read it.
No problem with it. I'll accept the explanation.
But it's very specific to how much experience they need. And unfortunately, in today's work environment, if someone has a degree in engineering, they're not going to be a public works director somewhere.
Yes, I
They're going to be
understand.
making $200,000 somewhere else. I think that the council felt that it was important to, not state that those things would be important to them, but if they found a good candidate, like someone right now that is our DPW director, I'm not sure what his educational background is, but he's someone who's been with the department for several years and, has had a lot of on-the-job training and experience. So I think it kind of opens the door for them to say that to promote from within or,
Were these charter amendments voted on by the council? Was it a unanimous vote?
all were unanimous except for one was a 4-1 vote. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I can't remember. I would have to look at my minutes.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't number 1.
Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. I can tell you.
No, I'm sure it wasn't number 1 because,
It wasn't number
it's
one.
right for it to come here.
I believe that was
That's
a
a good-
unanimous vote.
Yeah.
One second. So 1903, which one's 1903? Hold on a second.
School committee.
1903 and 403, Jason Lichardi was opposed.
The 2 of them or 1?
The two,
So
so
the council. and
the
school
filling the
committee.
vacancies, yes, those two. he was opposed.
Was it changing it? Well,
Did he, Sarah, did he voice what his objection was? Or did he just say, I object, see you later?
I can't recall off the top of my head. I'm sure he did. I mean, I know he has concerns over party affiliations. But I don't remember exactly what it was. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
What he
Don't
said, but I know that
apologize. I can find
There's a
out.
video. There's a
I
video.
know,
You
I
go
can
right
find
online,
out.
You can watch the meeting and.
Although he hasn't been cutting my grass like you guys were saying, there's no grass, he cuts my grass, so therefore. I can find out. It's just that I wanted to see if it was, unanimous,
It was a
because
4-1
obviously,
vote on those two, and the other two were or three were unanimous.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't remember exactly, and I don't want to speak out of turn on his.
no,
behalf, so,
no.
But there is a video of it, and I'm sure he'd be happy to share with you.
No, I will, I'll ask her.
No, what I'd say about this, like, if you're gonna appoint somebody, you're gonna find a Democrat chairman, Republican chair. To, propose someone to fill the vacancy. What do you do with an independent? Who proposes the independent to fill? the vacancy?
Right.
Well, the council doesn't. If they were all Democrats, it would be,
So if a vacancy was to occur, I'm sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to cut you
oh,
off.
no, that's.
If a vacancy was to occur, it would be my responsibility to advertise the vacancy and put it out there that there is a vacancy. So that would give anybody a fair
Everybody and
opportunity
everybody.
Not
to
necessarily-
come forward. Not necessarily for
Okay,
someone, it could be a Democrat that's not affiliated with the Democratic Town Committee, let's say. It could be,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
um,
You'd be a Democrat, not a.
because
You
there's
don't have
plenty
to
of
be on
people that
Democratic town
are
committee.
registered that
but I
way.
mean, like how they supposed to do us. Felix is supposed to recommend somebody to take someone's place.
Yep.
Tammy's supposed to recommend. If they wanted to do an independent or unaffiliated, who would do that? It's just a what if.
It almost
Gotta
puts them at
be
a
advertised.
disadvantage in a way, right? But I think that from my office's perspective, we're as nonpartisan as it can be. So we need to make sure that that message gets out to everybody fairly.
The question is, what would Richmond do?
All right.
All right, very good explanation, Sarah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so I presume that we're going to vote on certifying these questions for the November 8, 2022 election. What's your pleasure, Madam Vice Chair?
Yes, I will make a motion. Oh, you already made the motion.
No, I
Okay,
said
thought
I'll
that was-
entertain a motion.
I will move that.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. The ballot questions are certified. You want this signed? Is that what this is here for?
Yes, please. That's gotta get to the Secretary of State's office by tomorrow. So I'd love to be a day early.
You're gonna get there this afternoon.
Yes.
Good luck this
You
afternoon.
it on 195 or you?
Oh, no, I'll email it over.
Oh.
They just need a.
Oh, email. Oh, yeah, you'll get that.
Scan
David.
it, scan it
Scan
and
it,
go.
email it.
Scan it and go.
That's it.
Let's see. All right, the next order of business is discussion, action, consideration of poll workers for September 13, 22. Now, you're not fully, you don't have them fully, so you're not ready to start appointing. So you just want to
They're
discuss.
appointed. I have 51 appointed, 51 committed. We're still
They're
getting
not
more.
appointed.
They're not
We didn't-
appointed.
Not appointed
We didn't
technically,
appoint.
no. No,
They're
just
recommended.
like I said, when people sent in their paperwork and they
Yep.
said, I prefer to work here because I
Yep.
walked to this poll or whatever, we're
Yep.
trying to accommodate everyone. But we have
Very
55,
Out of a.
I'm sorry, 51.
Out of, and what do we need? 10, 2, 4. Yeah, 60.
60?
I'd like to have 70. I'd like to have 10 in reserve.
Are we using a greeter? I don't think we.
Can I talk for just a second? I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted, basically, I wanted to put this on the agenda to keep you guys up to date, because I know you were really concerned about
Yeah.
the whole poll worker thing. And the guidance came down from the Board of Elections that they aren't recommending greeters. They're recommending two sets of supervisors, as well as one clerk, one moderator in each location.
Before
That's their
6 times 10 is 60 and you
Is
have
60.
51.
Right, so I feel like that is probably a good recommendation, even though I think they might be bored having two sets of supervisors in some locations.
That's right. I was going to say that.
It,
Is that a recommendation or are they going to try and say, nah, gotta have it?
So here's my thought on that. Where we don't have the greeter, I would have used a greeter to fill in for a supervisor if someone calls out, but we won't have greeters. So my thought is we try to staff two sets of supervisors at every location. If we come up short, we go with one at the ones that aren't as busy, don't have as
One
many
set and one
voters.
greeter?
No.
Well, I mean.
One set of supervisors, she said, at the polling places.
Worst
are not
case
busy.
scenario,
But how would
but
you give them a break?
the
The
clerk or
clerk
the
and
moderator would have to, they would have to take
I
turns
give
that
them a
way.
break. At the
Yeah.
all-day
But
referendum.
ideally, I think that we should try to
Yeah,
go
we
with the
could
two
do, yeah.
at each one. And I think we're in a really good situation. I mean, we have 51 that have committed at this point. We have training next Monday for the supervisors here at Town Hall at 2 and 5:30. They're gonna Zoom with them from Board of Elections. But I think that considering, I think we're in a really good position. And I think it also helps us if we have everyone where they are and know how they work out for November. We can just say you're going back to the same exact place for November. So it kind of just sets it up ahead of time.
Keep in mind that the 51 you said you had?
Mhm.
Keep in mind, those last 9 are probably going to be the toughest ones to get.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know. We got them trickling
I
all the
have-
time.
Yeah, my phone's ringing off the hook. And I also want people in reserve to be prepared for, I
Sure.
can't come in today. I changed
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
Something
Don't feel
happened
good.
last night. I don't
Somebody-
feel good. Yeah.
Somebody starts coughing.
Are there any-
Ultimately, I'd like to have 70, so we have a reserve.
Are there any polling places that maybe we should have two sets of supervisors, like maybe Wakefield Hills?
They already do. So we've already
You do?
assigned.
Oh, okay.
So
There's
we
2
looked-
for every one. She's thinking that if we don't get enough, the light polling place will only have one set of supervisors.
Well,
Right.
okay.
Worst
okay,
case
right.
scenario.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think that's what
Yep.
I would go with.
Okay.
And so I'm not asking you guys to bless a final list at this point.
Right.
I
That
just
was
wanted
just
to
for-
kind of,
I
I just
understand.
wanted to be able to discuss it with you guys and let you know what our thoughts are and make sure that you guys are in line with what our thoughts are as far as handling that.
That sounds good.
How will we set, you're 51 for moderators? You need 10 moderators. We don't have him and Maddie's gonna be one for sure because she said she's gonna work, right?
So as of
Maddie
out of the
Fitz.
51
How
poll
do you set for
workers,
supervisors? Those are important. I mean, moderators, those are important.
we have our clerks and moderators all set
Each place has a clerk and a moderator.
already.
No, I mean, you put them there, but are they,
Experienced.
yeah,
Yes, the
Some of them
repeat
are.
workers.
Yeah.
no repeat workers, but are they repeat moderators?
Some of them are, yeah.
How many?
Oh, I'd say at least half of them.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
Because we got half there. I mean, and if they run into trouble, we only have one moderator here that can run over there and no, not you. I'm talking about one moderator that can go straighten them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's unfortunately due to the way things have been the last few years between COVID, between the election climate, we'll say. I think a lot of your old poll workers aren't as apt to come back. Especially where our poll workers as a whole tend to be people who are retired.
Yep.
Because, who else can just take a day out of work like that, right?
Not everyone.
And that population also is a little anxious about being so exposed, I think, at this point in
Yep.
time. So we sent out letters to 160 previous poll workers asking if they were interested in coming back. Anyone who's worked for you guys since 2018, we mailed them a letter. So pre-COVID.
Did we do anything with the school?
Yeah.
So we did. So the school sent out, I finally was able to connect with the principal and the school sent out an email and we grabbed a few from there. Our moderator at Wakefield Hills is actually, do I have the right one, Neil? He's 18. He's one of the younger ones. And he is so excited to get in there and learn this position and run that polling location. So it's good to get the younger generation involved. So I'm very excited. He's bringing his sister with him. She's going to be a supervisor.
Oh, Kiernan. Yeah,
Has he
Kiernan,
ever worked
yes.
before, ever at any
I'm
job?
not sure. Colleen.
No, they're
One
students.
polling place you're gonna get. called.
No, they're students, but
Fine.
Wakefield.
Wow, somebody that
Nothing against
enthusiastic.
him. I'm just saying
But
18 years old.
remember, they're going to an extensive training on
Yeah.
August 23rd. It's actually going to be held at West Warwick High School. I encourage you guys to attend and get a refresher.
they're on their way to college. They're honor students. They're,
Oh, no,
kids with
how
electronics
do you
and
think we got
equipment
Maddie
and
Fitz?
computers
I know,
and yeah.
I know the Fitz girls.
They'll
are
know how to
together.
fix the machine.
They're at Holy Ghost and they have gotten two friends to come
Yeah,
with them
Maddie
and
said
their
she could-
grandmother.
And
Yeah,
the grandma.
Maddie Fitz said she could recruit some
We
people.
told them we need one more from them.
Jane
So we-
Street-
I got it. Yep.
Oh, she did send in one more?
Is that,
Jane Street is working.
Yeah.
So I also reached out to Stephen O'Rourke at the Housing Authority. And I said to him, if he could inquire with the residents about any of them wanting to be poll workers, what's better than walking downstairs and working your own
Yeah.
poll in your
Yeah,
own polling
exactly.
location.
And they are.
So they are, and that's pretty exciting. I don't think that's been done before, so that is also gonna make people less apt to complain about those polling locations if it's their own neighbors in there. And then the senior center has been advertising for us, and Colin over at the library has a whole table set up about the election, about the important dates and recruiting poll workers. So
on
we've really been very blessed in our assistance with hiring poll workers.
the training you just mentioned, the 23rd at the high school, is that in-person training?
That is in-person training at the high
5:30.
school clerks and moderators,
Okay,
Yeah, just
What
for
time
clerks
is
and
it?
moderators.
what time is it?
5:30, right?
5:30?
5:30.
And then the supervisors is here next Monday, 2 PM, 5:30 PM.
There's two trainings. We
Yeah.
split them up because there's so many of them. And that will be done via Zoom with the screen.
Are they gonna have poll pads here?
For the training?
Yeah.
No.
No, they're gonna be watching the video. The state will
Yeah,
be on that.
unfortunately, I guess with early voting now, they can't really use the poll pads for the training because they need them in all the,
I can remember sitting right here with poll.
yeah. I remember
Teach you with
performing the
with
training during COVID,
Oh, not- this is
with the
before.
poll pad, yeah.
Jen was here, she taught everybody, even you and him.
What,
Taught us how to use the poll.
what about this polling place? The town hall
For the early
for
voting.
the early voting?
So for the
We have a-
primary, we're gonna handle that in-house. We don't have a local election, so I don't expect it to be very busy. So we will be the poll workers.
Okay,
We are gonna keep the DS 200, the machine that the ballots go in, right in our office, so it's under constant supervision. And then we'll probably, I haven't decided if we're just gonna put like 2 booths right here in the hallway so they can walk out, vote, and then walk right back in.
okay.
But we're gonna do that in-house. I don't think that it's necessary to pay a poll worker or set of poll workers to sit in here for 20 days for something that we don't expect to be busy. Come November, we'll have to talk about that. Maybe we do hire somebody. And in 2024, absolutely, we're gonna have to staff it, no question. That one, you're gonna have to staff it. But where this is, you know, a little bit smaller election being an off year, especially locally.
Well, even the general election, you can also see how many mail-in ballots you're getting too, which is gonna be an indication.
And we've already processed, I shouldn't say we, Colleen, the rock star over here, has already processed every mail ballot that's come through here.
I
and there's
process
been
it the moment
hundreds.
I get it.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are
So-
taking that opportunity.
In person, and is that hundreds for each or hundreds in total?
Hundreds for each. Yeah, they're
So-
sending in, they want
so
both elections
Primary
sent
time
to
is
their home.
probably gonna be pretty slow.
Yes, the primary election is going to probably be pretty slow. I expect it to be slow just based on what's on the ballot, which is
Right.
not much for us locally.
But if you're getting that many mail-ins already,
Right, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be even slower, and
Unless-
then,
I know some people will do it just in case, because they don't know what flu is gonna be going around at that point.
that's right.
So they do it as a just in case, another, if they don't, but that's where they end.
Well, they
usually.
can't go to the polls. If they
Yeah,
go to the
once they-
polls,
They
it'll
can
say
close it,
voted
they
by
can-
mail. It will
they can-
turn them away.
Well, no, but I mean, if they put in for the mail ballot but never returned it, they'll have to vote provisionally because they're gonna be
Provisional.
listed
Yep.
as,
Already voted. by
Right.
Already
mail.
voted.
Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
they'll have to do a provisional.
As I think about it, it could be a little bit busy, the primary, a little bit, because we've got some races,
Gubernatorial.
even the congressional race in this district between Fung and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that could be.
That's tightening up over there. And
Fun doesn't have a.
does he have a primary guy?
doesn't he have, isn't there a
No, he does
Republican?
not, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He
I
does
thought,
not,
I thought there
no.
was somebody there.
On the Democratic side, there might
Yeah.
be.
Oh, yeah.
No, he- Lansdale,
Magazine or
backed
in the-
out.
Yep,
Magazine.
yep.
It might be, but I think
And
that,
the gubernatorial primary.
yeah,
could be,
that
could
could be a bigger turnout, but I mean, I think that it's good practice if we set ourselves up with 6 poll workers at each location. If they all work out, then we know we're all set for November.
Well, we got the council president on record saying the money's in the budget for the poll. It goes.
Disaffiliation.
Yes,
That's the
How's that
clerk.
gonna, how you gonna work that out? Do we just, they're gonna just have poll workers hand out a disaffiliation form?
so that's the
and have them-
moderators.
No, that's the
Or
clerk's.
are they gonna do it in person? They do it right?
That's
Yeah,
the- the
we'll
clerk
have it right
signs
They
there.
have it done right then and there.
Right, but you don't hand them out, they have to ask for them.
Yes.
I
Exactly.
always had a table
Don't
set
hand them
up.
out.
That's what I meant. No, I meant if they asked you to disaffiliate, you hand them a thing.
Yeah,
They say, get it to the
They-
town
they
hall.
can't
No.
say, would you
No,
like to
no.
disaffiliate?
No,
And they
They
go-
have to
can't
ask
say
for the
that.
form.
Right.
So my practice always was to have a table set up with disaffiliation forms on it, just after they would put their ballots in the DS 200 right there. So they were right there on the table in front of them. If they chose to fill one out, then they filled it out. Is that okay with you guys?
I mean, in my experience, we've had them with the clerk, because most people ask for them, if that wanted, that, if they come in unaffiliated and they're choosing whichever party they're gonna vote for, then they want to disaffiliate right afterwards, they always ask for the form. And so we usually have it either at the clerk's table or nearby,
Right,
and we just have the clerk sign off on it. And, I also tell them that they can still go to the Secretary of State, that they can go to the website and still do that
right, to
too.
change it,
So,
yeah.
but, because they're all, a lot of them are concerned for whatever reason for the general election, and it's like, it doesn't matter for the. general election.
Right, but what happens is people who voted like, let's say in the presidential preference primary, right? Now this is coming up and they're not registered the way that they thought they were registered, and that's when it becomes a problem. for
Right,
them.
well, that's what, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Some people will say, I
I've got,
disaffiliated, and I was like, well, I mean, if you did it online, you don't really have a copy, but if you do it right there at the election,
keep
you
it,
you
yep.
keep the copy, so. And also, I mean, the cards that you mailed out should have been included for people, because it also tells them what their
How they're
affiliation is.
affiliated,
I
yeah.
still get mail ballots every day. They're Democrat. They want to vote Republican.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
to
that was-
explain it to them that you have to disaffiliate first or vote Democrat.
And that's another thing, we did advertise a disaffiliation deadline as well as a voter registration deadline. Colleen will be in here on Sunday for a voter registration.
people going in the truck.
All right, any other discussion, action on the poll workers? All right, the next order of business is public comment. Norman, you got anything to say? Okay. All right, Madam Vice Chair, on the general discussion.
Yeah, I do have something to say. Last evening, I talked to someone, and I heard about the problem at Town Hall after the last meeting. That, I guess people went to, they were very concerned because I had mentioned that my husband was being monitored for monkeypox. However, I called the Board of Election, I called the Health Department, and I spoke to the monkeypox task force. And what I did was absolutely correct. There is no quarantine, number one, which that I was told that that's what was said. I should have been quarantined. There is no quarantine for monkeypox. And I told the person on the task force what I did, that I wore a mask because I believe that the only way I could transmit it to someone, if perchance I happened to be infected, was with my saliva. So that's why I had a mask on. So that it was actually a double lined mask. So I guess my problem is, why didn't anyone call me to find out exactly what was going on? Why did they assume that I should have been quarantined or isolated? Because that was not the protocol. And I understand that this is an entity by itself, and that you have the right to make rules to come in. And the only rule I saw on the website was that you required or you recommended that they wear a mask, which I had on. So can you explain to me why all that happened? They had a fogger come in, the fire department was notified. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. After you left, the fire chief was in my office. I asked him if there was anything I had to do because you and I had shared papers, touch papers. He told me to immediately wash my hands in hot water and soap.
You cannot get it from a piece of paper.
I just followed his directive. And then we had the custodian sanitize the office. That wasn't per Colleen Crowley.
Why didn't he call me to find out exactly? Why did he take your word? And what did you tell him? Did you tell him that I should have been isolated?
I told him that that your husband was out of work and that
He was not out of work. I told you he went to work the next day. The health department told him and that he could go to work the next day. We could go to the mall, we could go to the grocery store. We didn't have to wear a mask. We didn't have to wear gloves. And we could just go on the way it was, that we did not have to be isolated.
you told me that you were halfway through whatever period you were waiting for. I don't know who you were waiting to hear back
The
from.
waiting
Oh, wait.
period was.
Then you also told me that I could look and you had no open wounds. So I didn't know what any of that meant. So I started researching it. because I had paper cuts, I had open wounds. He walked in the office, said, "What's up?" I said, "I just touched somebody's papers. I have open wounds. What should I do?" I mean, yeah, I have the right to protect myself. I always will.
But I'm not infected.
But I didn't know that, and I didn't know if
Yes,
you
you
could,
did.
I didn't know if you could become infected in 28 days or
How did you
21
know
days,
I
like he
wasn't?
said.
How did you, I don't understand your protocol. Why didn't you give me a call back to ask me to explain a little more?
Because you had already explained why you had a mask on. You had already showed me that you didn't have open wounds. You had already told me the
Right.
story.
Because that would have been the only way.
So I asked, do I have to do anything to protect myself? Because this woman is protecting herself and she was in our office. And I won't apologize for it. I'm sorry. The whole office was uptight about it,
Well, I'm
with me
sorry.
coming back in.
The reason I wore the mask was to protect you guys, because actually that was the only way. If I had been infected and I would have had a high viral load, that was the only way.
And this is all new to
Can I
everybody.
finish?
Sure.
That was the only way you could have caught something.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, so nobody knows anything about monkeypox in our office. Good thing we had the fire chief there. All we did was consult him.
And what are his credentials to know about that? But I'm glad you brought that up, because when I spoke to the nurse at the monkeypox task force, she said that there is something on the Department of Health website that gives you all the information on monkeypox. And there's also a link there to the CDC that will give you additional information. And that there is a section in the Department of Health that are getting together to let communities know what they can and cannot do and what they should be worried about, et cetera, and to give you some education on what that is all about. And maybe that's the fault of the health department for not being as fast as you would like, but I would recommend that you call the health department.
The fire
and
chief
find
has
out-
been briefed and educated on monkeypox.
Yeah, he called the health department.
He
fire
called the
chief
health
called-
department.
You call the health
The
department
fire chief.
did.
for the fire chief? And what did they tell you?
No, he called them to ask for guidance as to how to
Okay.
handle the
And what
situation.
did he tell them? What did he tell you? He didn't
I
tell
believe
you
that's
that
how
you
we
had
had it,
nothing to
Santa.
worry about?
No, he didn't actually. He sent us a link and to read about it in a video, and we had the room sanitized. And like I said, I didn't take that upon myself, none of it. I asked him for guidance because he has been trained on it, I guess.
He's our EMA director as well.
Yeah, he's the EMA director. So nobody called him over. Nobody said, "Chief, can I talk to you?" He walked in and I started asking him, "What's monkeypox? Tell me about it." I started asking him questions.
Well, I'm sorry that you really took it that it was such a plague kind of disease.
Well, coming up after COVID and hearing this new thing called monkeypox, yeah, of course I want to know more about it.
This is the age of COVID and it's very scary. And in hindsight, I never should have said anything. I never should have wore a mask, but I did that because I was concerned about people in this office. And that's why I did that, to go above and beyond. But maybe I should not have even bothered. I should have just said.
My
nothing.
personal opinion is if you thought that you had a chance to possibly get it, that's what we have alternates for. So we can agree to disagree.
How do you know you don't come in contact with someone where you could get it?
I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't be around anybody. I went home. I stayed home.
You were out of work?
Yes.
Who told you to be out of work?
I did it for my office, for my coworkers, because everybody was upset that I touched the same papers as you
Well,
without gloves, and I had 3 paper cuts.
But I didn't have a positive test.
I understand that, but I guess maybe 21 or 28 days later, you could have been positive. It takes a while to become positive.
How
So
could
I was
you?
protecting myself and the office.
Well, I'm very insulted, and that you didn't call me to find out a little more specifics about it.
We were sent specifics on monkeypox.
What the hell?
Like I said, I'm very sorry. I won't apologize for how I felt after I thought that I could possibly have been contaminated.
Well, I think that maybe there should be some protocol established in this town hall about what you expect of people who come in here. And if they have any inkling that they might have a communicable disease, that they notify either the chairman in the committee, or they notify the clerk, or someone in the clerk's office, and then they should decide, but they,
I like to think that most people stay home when they're sick or could be sick. I like to hope and believe that.
you could be sick from something else. You could get COVID tonight
I could,
at the grocery store.
I
Are you
could.
gonna not come in tomorrow?
If I got COVID tonight,
Well, yeah, no, I didn't have the disease. You're trying to equate me.
no,
someone
I never
who
said
had-
Nancy has
Nancy-
monkeypox, never, ever,
I don't
ever.
want to cut this off, but I mean, this is being broadcasted and I really, in
People are
all
watching it.
fairness, I don't know if you want that. I just want to remind you of that.
Well, I would say I presume she wants it on the record. That's why she's,
I wanted it on the record that I used every precaution that I knew, and I followed the protocol that the health department gave me. And I'm sorry if you took it to the extent that it really should not have gone, but I never should have said anything, and I will never say anything again about that. Or I was doing it to protect you people in here.
what's that?
I'm all done.
You got anything else besides that?
No.
JP, general discussion? Nancy Parenti,
I'm all set.
Nothing to add.
okay. All right, having passed to our regular order of business, I'll entertain a motion, we adjourn.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. The meeting stands adjourned at 3:55 PM.
Goodbye.
Would you stand on the last